of Studies, one of the most remarkable non-fictional essays written by Francis Bacon in 1597. Francis Bacon had written 10 essays in the year 1597. Among those 10 essays, of Studies is considered to be the first one. But in 1612, the essay of Studies had been revised with the addition of some other sentences and some other words also. Of Studies is regarded to be one of the most significant essays in which Francis Bacon had talked about the uses and abuses of studies. Francis Bacon is regarded as the father of modern English prose. He was influenced by Latin writer Seneca, and Francis Bacon focused on Renaissance spirit in his writings. Francis Bacon is also regarded as an utilitarian philosopher. He was actually a practical moralist. He attempted to reflect practical wisdom in his writings. Of Studies is one of that type of writings in which Francis Bacon had focused on his practical wisdom. He had analyzed different aspects of studies in this essay. At the very outset of this essay, Francis Bacon had talked about the uses of studies, and he had reflected that studies serve for three purposes. One purpose is to serve for delight. Another purpose is to serve for ornamentation, and other use of studies is to serve for ability. Studies serve for delight, particularly in the leisure period, in the privateness, whenever there will be no other persons, no other things to accompany. Then these studies can serve for delight for a person. And these studies can serve for ornamentation whenever a person will speak or will be involved in deliberation, in discourse. Whenever a learned person, a wise person will speak of something, then others will understand the ornamentation of studies available in the character of that particular person. And studies also serve for ability. This is the main use of a study, that is, studies will influence a person to be full of ability. And a person with ability will be capable of utilizing studies in his daily affairs, in the marshalling of different type of activities. Crafty men contempt studies. Simple men admire studies, but only the wise men can use studies whenever they need it. And in the actual knowledge of the wise persons, studies are found. But studies should have to be very much, modified. And if a person will not select what type of studies he should practice, then the studies will not be useful to that particular person. Francis Bacon had said that reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, writing an exact man. In this way, he had talked about different things. He had talked about the use of, reading. Reading maketh a full man. That is, whenever a person will read, he will become a full man. And conference or conversation will make him ready man. That is, a person who is involved in conversation will be a ready person, will be a readily witty person. Whenever it will be necessary for that person, he can quote the things whenever it will be necessary. And writing an exact man. That is, writing is considered to be the most important thing which can make a man exact person. After talking about the uses of studies, Francis Bacon had also talked about the abuses of studies also in this short essay. He talked that studies should be very much, witty, should be very much, prudent. If a person studies always, then it will be considered to be a matter of laziness for that particular person. And there should be the selection of the books. There are some books which should have to be swallowed, which should have to be just gone through. But only few books are there which should have to be selected to be chewed and digested. Some books are read by the deputy because these books are not very much important enough to go through. Only by having some information from other person, the reader can understand the contents of that book, as these books are not significant enough for the reader to go through. But there are only few books which are considered to be very much important, and a reader must have to go through these books carefully. Otherwise, the readers cannot understand the contents of that particular books. And Francis Bacon had also talked about the necessity of pruning, as in a garden, one or gardener needs to have the pruning of the unwanted plants from his garden. Similarly, a reader must have to get rid of unwanted studies by reading more and more. And by reading more and more, a reader can understand which types of things should have to be present in his brain, in his knowledge. And a person should not be always careful of utilizing studies for ornamentation. Rather, he should take guidance from his experiences. Reading is very much important, but experience is more important. Whenever a reader can mix reading with experience, then he will get the benefit actually. And the writer had also focused about the necessity of different types of studies for different purposes. If a person reads natural philosophy, then that person can get the logical things. If a person reads schoolmen or religious things, that person can get morality. If a person reads poetry, the person can become witty. If a person reads, the different type of studies, he will be benefited from different ways or from different angles. And Francis Bacon had talked about the influence of the study. He believed that studies influence character. A man can be influenced in his character by reading different types of things. And with this study, a person can become wise, knowledgeable, and in this way, he can have the influence in the society. So actually, within this short essay, the writer had selected those words which are befitting for his message. And he had also followed the famous quotation of William Shakespeare, that is, brevity is the soul of wit. And therefore he had focused on his statement with the brevity. And with this brevity, Francis Bacon could be successful to convey his message about different perspective of a study. And students should try to follow the statements of Francis Bacon to understand his message about reading. And if you can get the message of Francis Bacon about reading, then I think it will be very much effective for you to march forward. Thanks to all of you for your patient hearing.